Hello everyone, welcome to the course Front-End Development Frameworks for Web Applications. This is Dr. Sunita Bulla, Associate Professor in the Department of ENGE, KL University. In the last session, we discussed Git installation and configuration. In this session, we'll focus on introduction to Git and Git lifecycle. By end of the session, you will understand what is the purpose of the Git and Git lifecycle. Let's start with the introduction to Git. Git is a software tool. This tool is used as a version control, and at the same time this Git also make it simple to share the project with others, and we can make as a team and we will collaborate on the project. Here multiple developers can work on the same project at the same time. Let's take one example. Okay, first of all, let's assume a team of 4 developers building on the project. The project name is College Management System. One developer will work on the student module, one developer will work on the faculty module, one developer will work on the admin module, another developer will work on the fee payment module. Okay, here every day each developer make the changes to their part of the project. Instead of sending the files through the email or pen drive, they will use the Git. Okay, a Git stores every updates whatever they made to the project, and complete history of the developer and changes is maintained. Okay, here if the developer accidentally forgot to insert any important code or delete any important code, no need to worry. The Git allows to other team members to store the previous version of the project. Okay, once implementation is completed, each developer share their changes into the Git, and the Git combines them into a single project without overwriting each other works. Here the team manager simply combine the all the changes and he will execute as a single project. Now let's Git lifecycle. Before we start discussing about Git commands, it is very important to understand what is a Git lifecycle, how the local Git repository is connected with the remote Git repository. Without understanding the Git lifecycle, Git commands may seem confusing. Once you understand the Git lifecycle, you will know exactly what happened to a file every time whenever you executed the Git commands. The Git lifecycle describes how project changes are moving from source to destination. Here, a source is nothing but working directory and destination is nothing but remote directory. Let's think Git lifecycle. Here, Git lifecycle discuss about how to share the project from source to destination. Here, source is nothing but local repository or working directory. Destination is nothing but remote repository. Remote repository or there are many remote repositories are there. GitHub, Bitbucket are many remote repository versions are there. Now, if you whenever you see this definition, we can understand there are two types of repositories. One is a local repository, and the second one is a remote repository. First one, local repository. Second one, remote repository. Okay. First, a local repository is stored on your own computer. This local repository is in our computer. It contains the complete project. Okay. It is a local repository that contains a project. And second one is a remote repository. The remote repository is hosted on remote server on the cloud platform. Let's assume GitHub. It is a GitHub. Let's assume it is a GitHub platform. Okay. Now, what is the definition of Git life cycle? The Git life cycle giving the clear information about transaction between source to destination. Okay. Now, the transaction. So, Git life cycle give the information about transaction between the source to destination. It is a two-way transaction. Okay, it is a two-way transaction. First one is local to remote. Second one is remote to local. So local to remote, we will use the operation. That operation name is push operation. Remote to local, we'll use the operation. The operation is a pull operation. Okay. The Git lifecycle give the clear information about data transaction between source to destination. So source is nothing but local repository. Destination is a remote repository. The local repository, is a project folder. It is available in your local system. Remote repository is a remote server. The remote servers are there are many websites are there. Remote repository services. GitHub is a one service. GitLab is a one service. Bitbucket is a one service. Amazon Repo. You can take a remote server any service, but in our curriculum we preferred GitHub. Okay, the transaction is a two-way transaction. The local to remote, remote to local. The local to remote will use a push operation. Remote to local we will use the pull operation. Okay, now the transaction. How to perform the transaction. Okay, the journey, whatever the transaction journey, the journey consists of 4 stages. It consists of 4 stages. Stage 1 is a working directory. Stage 2 is a staging area. Stage 3 is a local repository and stage 4 is a remote repository. Okay, there are 4 stages. Now let's discuss how these 4 stages will work as a Git life cycle. Stage 1, Second stage, stage 2 is a staging area. Stage 3 is a local repository. Stage 4 is a remote repository. Okay, let's discuss about first one, working directory. This working directory is a folder where you created your project. Okay, now in this working directory, let's take is a project. So you have a project folder, you completed implementation, but this working directory is not related to the Git. It's simply local system folder. The Git won't identify this working directory. Okay, uh, the whatever Git, it don't know what is a working directory. Just it is a local system folder. If you want to start the Git, first of all, what we need to do, we need to type one command. That command is called git init. It is the first command. The command name is called git init. Whenever you enter the git init, the local directory is identified by the git. Okay. Now whenever you type the git init in the folder, okay, what happens whenever you executed the git init? Okay. Now whenever you executed git init in the working directory, your local directory, first of all, it creates .git folder in the working directory. Okay, it creates .git folder in the working directory. The Git identifies which folder having the .git folder. Otherwise, if you executed Git commands on the directory location, so now Git won't identify this working directory. So now, whenever you start working with the Git in your project folder, first we need to type the command. Command name is git init. Whenever you enter the git init command in your project directory, first it creates one git folder in your working directory. This folder contains all the information related to the Git and whatever Git needs to manage your project. Okay, not only that, it initialize one empty repository. It initialize one empty repository, and along with that, it creates structure of the Git. The Git folder having the entire structure, the .git folder having the structure having the objects, reference and head and config. So now whatever that Git folder, .git folder having the subfiles, the files names are objects, refs, head, config. The .git folder contains these are the files. So now these are the files are needed to manage source to destination relation of your project. Okay, this is the first stage. In the first stage, if you want to send the data source to destination in your working directory, first we need to type the command git init folder. Once git init folder is typed, then it creates .git folder. The .git folder uh, is .git. What .git folder is doing? The folder contains all the information about the git, and it is project directory is identified by the git. Okay, next, after executing this command, next command, if you want to verify that folder is identified by the git or not. Okay, you need to type the command git status. The git status command is used to check the current state of your git repository. It shows which files has been modified, which files are in the staging area or some other things, or which files are on track or whatever it is. This it the git status is a command. This command is used to uh, identify whether the project directory is identified by the git or not. Okay, now the git is executed successfully, the whatever your project directory is also identified by the git. A second one, staging area. Now, whenever you type the git init, your project working directory is ready to move from source to destination. Then after that, we cannot send those files directly into the remote repository. First, we need to send the data to the staging area. So now here in the staging area, act as a preparation area. Okay, the staging area is a preparation area. First of all, we need to select the file. Once you selected files from mode here to destination. Okay, now for that purpose, we need to type the command git add. We need to type the command git add. If you are if you want to send the single file, we can use the command like a file name, git add file name. If you want to send the entire project directory into the remote repository, execute command git add dot. So whenever you executed this command, now your files are moving from working directory to the uh, staging area. Now next, we cannot send the staging area to remote repository. The remote repository identifies repository only. That is the reason we need to send staging area data into the local repository. Okay, our working directory, we cannot call it as a local repository. The working directory is a normal directory that is available in the local system. Whatever data content in the working directory is not identified by the remote repository. Now next we need to send to the staging area. After staging area, the staging area redirecting the data into the local repository. Now this is a staging area. uh, if you want to add few more files, for example, now we added one file, then okay, if you want to add one more file, then we come back and we will add one more file in this under the staging area. Okay, now we can modify the, before pushing the data, we can modify files here. Okay, next one, local repository. After the staging area, next step, save them into the permanently into the local git. It is called with by using the commit command. Okay, next command in the local repository, we will type the command git commit with some message. Okay, this is the command. This command is used to send the data to the local repository. Once you committed the data, you cannot revert back. At any cost, you need to push the data into the remote repository. We cannot add another file into the local repository. Once it is pushing, then only we'll come back from the working directory. The local repos, whenever you execute the command git commit, then the files are moving to the permanent storage, that is called local repository. Now you can send your data into the remote repository. Okay, now once data transmitted into the local repository, now then we'll go with the remote repository. Fourth stage is a remote repository. This is the final stage. The remote repository store the data on the platform such as GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket. To upload your committed changes into local repository, remote repository, we need to use the command git push origin. We'll discuss what is a origin and what is a main. Now first we need to use the command git push. So whenever you using the git push, the data is transmitted to the remote repository. Now workflow is, what is a workflow? First one, working directory. In the working directory, by using the command git init, the working directory is initialized by the git init. Then after that, whenever you executed the command, whenever you executed git init, the working directory is identified by the git. Then after, whenever you executed command git add, the data is transmitted to staging area. Whenever you executed command git commit, the data is transmitted to local repository. Whenever you executed git push, the data is transmitted to remote repository. So this is the life cycle of the git. So this is a one transaction. The life cycle of the git, giving the full information about how to transmit the data local repository to the remote repository. We'll discuss how to perform the transaction remote repository to local repository in the upcoming sessions. Now git life cycle. The git life cycle having four stages. One is a working directory, staging area, local repository, and remote repository. So now whenever you type the git add, it coming to the staging area, git commit, it coming to the remote repository, git push, it coming to the local git commit local repository, git push is a remote repository. This is the git life cycle, four stages. In the next session, we are going to discuss about git operations. Until then,